Ready?
Yeah.
Woo! We're back. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 9 of the Playing Dirty podcast. I'm Katie.
I'm Megan.
Thanks for tuning in again. If you are new here, this is a sports culture podcast. We talk about recent events in the sporting world, and honestly, everything under the sun. This episode, we actually have a lot to cover. We might be jumping around a bit. I know we've taken a couple weeks off, mostly my fault. But happy to be back here.
Do you want to tell us about your camping adventure before we start?
Yeah, it was quite the adventure. We were in northern Montana, and one exciting feature of it was we happened to purchase a campsite off of this like independent camping website called Hip Camp.
Yeah.
And this particular, I know I told you a little bit about it, but this particular campsite, we got to stay in a retired Airstream. So like those metal RVs from like the 60s or the 70s. So this older couple had just like planted it in their backyard. Honestly, their backyard was like the wilderness. It was the field, like a giant field. Think of like forest, whatever. And the first night we got into the Airstream, well, first of all, when we walked into it in the daylight, there was like spiders everywhere and like bugs, and there was like a mouse trap, and it looked like they hadn't really like cleaned it up, even though there was like welcome to the Airstream little note. Like it was just weird. So then we come back after the music festival, the first night, and we lay down in this like bed, this kind of ratchet bed, and all of a sudden I start hearing these scratches on like the top of the Airstream and below, and I like turned around and I'm like, do you hear that? Do you hear that? Is there an animal that is in the Airstream or whatever? Long story short, we didn't get any sleep like of the 3 nights. And on the third night, the animal got into the Airstream. And we were like berated by this like rodent or like whatever it was.
Did you see it?
We didn't see it because we closed the door to the area where it got in. And so it was like 3 a.m. It was pitch black. Like there's no lights, right? We're in the middle of forest. And all we could hear was this rodent scratching at the bathroom door. And we like stuffed I know. And we like stuffed the crack with blankets and like pillows so it wouldn't come through the crack in the bottom. Oh, and it was like jumping on the walls and like boom, 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 boom. It was it was it was actually quite tragic. And I didn't sleep at all because I was like, are we gonna have to deal with an animal coming in? Like, what are we gonna do? What if it's like rabbit? I don't know. So we left.
How did it get in?
I think it chewed. It either like chewed through the screen of a window, or it like got in through the pipes, because I think it came through the toilet, which was not being in use. It was like retired, right? So it wasn't connected. But I think it came through the pipes because I heard it come out of the toilet and then fall, and then it started, and I was like, oh my god. So it was overall I was so bad. Yeah, the festival was great and it was a fun weekend, but no for me, dog. Yeah, it was so gross. It was
Who performed at the festival?
The headliners were Hank Williams Jr., Camp, and Zach Bryan. Zach Bryan was so good.
Were any of those people the ones we saw at Stagecoach? I don't really know that kind of like country. That's like subgenre of country. Yeah.
Yes, you would recognize Ryan Bingham. He was at Stagecoach.
Who did we go see that you guys are really excited about?
Oh, Tyler Childers. He was in there.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah. He was there like a few years ago. There was Elle King. Elle King was there.
I love Elle King. I've seen her 3 times now.
I thought of you. I was like, oh, Megan would love this. And then a couple other really good female performers. So I was really impressed. Coulter Wall. Do you know him?
No.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was a different genre of country.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Morgan Wallen concert? Do you want to talk about that now or later?
No, we can talk about it now.
Okay.
So I bought these Morgan Wallen tickets probably over a year ago. it's been a really long time. And I
Mhm.
remember because I was at a going away dinner for a PhD student in our like joint lab. And we were all at this like really famous Mexican restaurant here in town. And I was like, I'm so sorry to be on my phone, you guys, but I have to get these tickets.
Yeah.
And I've had no recollection to what I paid for them because it was so long ago.
Yeah.
And it's been on the calendar since then. I've been so excited, but like work is like at 1,000. So I was like super stressed out
Hmm.
about going. Really wasn't like excited at all. Like, didn't care. Arizona, as is the rest of the country, has been having the most awful heat wave. And so Phoenix has been on this train of setting this like all time record for hottest days in a row. So it's been like at least 110 degrees. The day I
Mm,
went, it was 117.
no.
And so I drive up to Phoenix. Of course, I take I-10, which there's always accidents. I'm like parked on the freeway. My car temperature is like at 121,
Oh my God.
which is, I mean, it's fine because I have air conditioning in my car. But like, I was like, if my car breaks down, if my tire blows, like,
Yeah.
I'm dead. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way you're going to survive that. So I make it up to Phoenix. We get ready. We decide that because the concert starts at 5:30 in the afternoon at Chase Field, the Diamondbacks stadium. You know,
Hmm.
Morgan Wallen only performs in baseball stadiums. We're going to drive into downtown, get dinner, and then go to the concert.
Yeah.
In hindsight, terrible idea.
Oh my
So
God. Why?
we pull in at like 4 p.m. where it's the hottest time of day. So it's raging 117 degrees, not a cloud in the sky.
Great.
And we come out and we step out of the parking lot and I make it maybe a block. And like my skin felt like it was being like seared off my body. Like the
Oh.
sun just like hurts. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we make it like 5 steps and my cousin starts to get these nasty blisters because it's so hot. We're like profusely sweating in our boots.
Oh my God.
And it's like, I mean, I've been outside for like a minute and like the sweat is pouring down my face
Yeah.
and I have makeup on. So I'm like wiping it out of my eyes, like just trying to be positive. And we go to a restaurant. The wait is like 5 hours for like anywhere around there. And so then we were like, okay, we're just going to go into the arena because there's air conditioning in there.
Okay.
And so we like walk around and the line to get in the stadium is probably like half a mile long. And we were like, there's no way we can stand outside and
No
wait.
shot.
So we end up like walking like halfway around the stadium where like the entrance is covered.
Mm.
Because there's like a restaurant that sits on the outside and then it's like covered to get in because like there's like a big like outdoor bar patio thing. So we walk in that way and we go through the doors and we get this like blast of cold air, like cold
Oh.
in
Yeah.
quotes
Right.
air.
It's probably 80 degrees.
Yeah. And no,
Yeah.
so inside the arena, it was probably like still like 100 degrees, maybe like
Oh my
102.
gosh.
And like the sweat just like pouring out of my body is like ridiculous. So all in all, the concert was amazing. Morgan Wallen was
Okay.
fantastic. So was Bailey Zimmerman,
Oh.
Ernest, Hardy, and then Morgan Wallen. But
Wow.
Bailey Zimmerman started at 5:30. Morgan Wallen went on at 9:30. So like every person would go on and then there'd be like 45-minute to hour long like gaps between people where you're just sitting there waiting like with the lights on.
Oh.
And like for anyone that hasn't been in Chase Field, it's technically like an indoor outdoor arena. So the roof is retractable. So it's not
Mm.
actually like insulated. So I think they had the air on, but it was still really hot. And like
Yeah.
people were like vomiting, passing out, like left and right. Like everyone's obviously drinking. It's a country concert.
Right.
Like
Right.
no one is sane. Water is still $7
Of course.
for a bottle. I kept
Of
going to
course.
the Chick-fil-A stand and asking them for cups of ice to just like
Hmm.
have in my mouth the whole time, which made me feel so much better. But we leave the arena. It's still like 104 degrees outside at night. It's
Oh.
like midnight at this point. And then the next morning, I drive back, go to work, whatever. I'm reading the news, and it was the hottest night that Phoenix had had.
Hmm.
It didn't drop below 97 since
Hmm.
like the 1890s.
No shot.
So then the
Of
next night,
course.
there was a second
Yeah.
concert. And of course, like on TikTok, social media, everyone's like, don't wear boots, bring water, hydrate. If you're in the
Yeah.
pit, like, be careful. And Morgan Wallen comes on stage in shorts for the first time ever. And
Oh,
he's like
really?
literally on stage talking. He was like, it was so hot in here last night. And he was like, I don't know what they did, but it feels different. But I wore shorts. And then
Yeah.
everyone we talked to who went the second night was like, no, it was so comfortable in there. Like air conditioning. So
Oh.
now there's this big rumor that they didn't turn the air conditioning on the first night, which is not true. There was definitely air conditioning on, but it was cooling from like 117 plus 60,000 people
Right, right.
to like maybe like 98.
That is
So
brutal.
like
Brutal.
Arizona's really going through right now, but like don't go to country concerts or any concert in the summer unless it's in like Footprint Center, which is like air conditioned year round. Um yeah, it was miserable.
What is the like? I'm curious for Diamondback games during the season when it's like exceptionally hot like this. Do you think the turnout is lower, or do people still like show up and rally?
No, people still show up. I
Okay.
mean, it's not like if you're outside in the sun, you're gonna die very quickly. If you were,
Oh my
without
gosh.
water or any like kind of
Yeah, yeah.
coolant. But like inside, it's maybe in the high 90s to 100. And it's like
Right,
hot, you're sweating, but like you also have access to water and food
right.
and
Shade,
like
hopefully.
you're fine. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the roof's closed. Yeah.
Wow, that is gnarly. But I hope it was still it sounded like he still had a good performance.
Oh, he was fantastic.
Oh, I want to see him. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's definitely on my list.
And then they released merch like after the fact.
Uh-huh.
So what they did was they took a bunch of photos from the night, picked a selection of them, put them up on this merch website where you could pick your photo and then you could customize your merch. So all of my
Cool.
merch has pictures of Morgan Wallen from the night of our concert in a Diamondbacks jersey.
No way.
Yeah,
That's sick.
yeah, so it'll come in a few days. I'm really excited.
What did you get? Like a sweatshirt? What'd you get?
I got a t-shirt and a hoodie.
That's so sick. They should do that for every performer. That's a
I
great idea.
know. I know.
By the way, and this like just reminds me in terms of merch. I don't know if you saw this, but okay, for everyone listening, Mayfair, the brand, the clothing
Oh
brand,
yeah.
is a brand that Megan and I really liked in college, and I still kind of follow it. They just did a collaboration, like a vintage collaboration with Adidas and like some other like big brands. And I saw some of the merch that they recently dropped, but their sweatshirts are going for like $120. Like
No
I was thinking about
way.
honestly, I was thinking about getting you one. Like, woo, PhD story.
Oh
I might still. But
no.
like,
Oh my
no,
God.
when it's not $120. But I'm saying like you should look at it. They're super
I'll
cute. They're
check it
just like
out after this.
extremely expensive. Yeah.
All right. Do you want to get into what's happened in the last couple weeks?
Sure, let's do it. So, just to like kind of preface episode 9 here, where we left off a couple weeks ago, we were talking about a lot of MLB, the All Star game, the Home Run Derby. We're kind of going to transition here to a recap of a lot of different sports. So, WNBA, tennis, F1. So actually this morning, the Hungarian GP happened, and I know Megan, you caught the beginning of it, but Max Verstappen got the win. Are we surprised
Got the
there?
win. No, not at all. It was a little treacherous at the beginning because yesterday in qualifying, Lewis Hamilton actually took pole position.
Mm,
Which was crazy. Like no one ever beats Max Verstappen, but Red
okay.
Bull came to the Hungarian GP with new upgrades. So could have been like a little fluke of the upgrades, just could have been good luck on Lewis Hamilton's side of things. He took pole position by like, I mean, like a thousandth tenths of a second.
Ah,
But with Max Verstappen's win today, Red Bull has surpassed McLaren for the longest win streak in Formula One
wow.
history.
Mhm.
So everyone was trying to beat Red Bull, and Red Bull has now done it. And I
Wow.
don't foresee them stopping anytime soon. So I feel like
Yeah.
this win streaks just kind of get blown out of the water. But Lando Norris also got second place, I believe. And Sergio Perez, who has really been struggling as the second driver for Red Bull, came in
Mm.
third.
Okay.
So nice to see him come in third. We always want him to do well. He is setting himself up to lose his seat during the kind of crazy switch of all the drivers that's going to come up towards the end of the season. But
Mm.
good GP, nice to see it. I didn't actually catch the end this morning, but that's okay because I watched it late and it all got spoiled on social media anyways.
Yeah, of course. Right. That sounds awesome. Do you know when the
Yeah.
next race is? Next weekend?
Next weekend, they're in
Okay.
Belgium.
Okay, cool. So kind of moving through our quick checklist here of recap. In terms of the PGA, so golf, the Open Championship, also known as Royal Liverpool, has happened, is completed.
It's going on right now.
It's going on right now. Okay, and for
So
everyone
it probably
listening,
ends today.
we're recording on Sunday the 23rd, I think. I'm losing track of the dates.
Yeah, it's the 23rd.
It's perfect. So Brian Harmon, who is an American, he's leading 12 under, probably as of this morning. And then John Rahm, who's 7 under, he shot a 63 yesterday.
Yeah, so I'm not sure actually what day this was, but he shot one of the lowest rounds at this Royal Liverpool course in history. So he's at 7 under right now, so he's obviously not really close to winning.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen in golf as time goes on, but it was really cool to see him he was over par and with his 63 got himself back up onto the top leaderboard. So really nice.
That's cool.
Yep. We also have wedding bells this weekend.
Woo, yeah.
Usually we don't get 2 in one weekend, but we did. So Joel Embiid got married to Sports Illustrated model, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, but Anne DePaula.
Slay.
They've been dating since 2018, and together they have their son Arthur, who was born in 2020. And then also in the basketball world, Trae Young, who I think is only 24 years old.
Yeah, I think he's young.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
So from the Atlanta Hawks, married his fiance Shelby Miller. She is 27 years old, and they have been dating since college. So they met at Oklahoma. Miller was a cheerleader, and they have a son together as well, who was born in 2022.
Cute NBA weddings.
Yeah, I know.
So sweet.
It's still crazy that he's 24 and getting married, though. Like,
Oh,
first
I
I was like,
know.
oh, like, Joel Embiid is really young, too. I'm like, I think he's 29. But I was like, these people
24.
are our age.
It's interesting. It's like an interesting dynamic, I feel like, with professional athletes, because I feel like it's either you're young, you're just playing, you're minding your own business, you like aren't really in a relationship. And then once you kind of mature in your like athletic development as a professional, you start to like settle down a little bit more. Like I feel like MLB players, it's kind of like that. But I guess Trae, they've been dating for a while, so it makes sense. But 24 seems young now. I guess it wasn't young historically, but it does seem super young now.
I'm going to be 25 soon. That is young.
That 25 though?
Don't. Ew.
Ugh. 25. That's the next one up. I'm not looking forward to that, truly. It's okay. To not jump around too much here, kind of staying on professional basketball. So for those of you who follow the WNBA, The All-Star game was last weekend, meaning weekend of the 15th of July. And how they set it up was actually two teams that were led by team captains, Team Stewart and Team Wilson. So, as in Brianna Stewart and Aja Wilson. Um, Stewart's team ended up winning 143 to 127. And I didn't watch it. I was
That's a
obviously.
really high scoring
That's what
matchup.
I thought. That's what I thought too. When I saw that, I was like, dang, like on the offensive, I guess. Yeah, unfortunately, I was obviously in Montana, so I didn't get to see it. But Jewel Lloyd, who's from Seattle, she's a guard, and she had an all-time All-Star game points record with 31 points, and she was named MVP of the game. So she was on Team Stewart, led him to the win. I heard it was super fun to watch, so it's cool to see them battle it out.
Did you see that Sabrina absolutely like dominated the 3-pointer
Yes, I
challenge?
did.
That was
Yeah,
crazy.
she's so talented.
So talented.
Yeah. And then last thing before we kind of get into the meat of today's episode, the Tour de France ends today in
Yeah,
Paris
so
for you cycling fans.
yeah.
Okay, so what do we have here in terms of big events that have kind of just completed recently?
All right. So the biggest one, and probably most exciting that's happened in the past couple weeks was Wimbledon. So if you haven't heard what happened at Wimbledon, you perhaps are living under a rock. But Carlos Alcaraz, he is 20 years old, pulled off a championship win against Novak Djokovic in the finals. And I was about to leave the house. My mom was screaming at the television all morning. And like I had goosebumps like all over my body. Like people do not beat Djokovic. Like he is
The guy.
unbeatable.
Yeah.
And to see a 20-year-old do it was crazy. Some people were like a little shocked about it. Obviously, like I didn't feel super shocked. Carlos is one of the top players in the world. It's not like he came out of nowhere.
Right.
He's really, really dominant. And people said like, if anyone could do it, he could do it. And he did. So.
Yeah, and what is he, like 20 years old? He's so young. He's so young. And so he's a Spanish player. He won the US Open last year and like kind of started to like really prove himself on a global stage. And then this was kind of the cherry on top. And I don't have the exact statistic in my brain, but I did see something that was like in the last couple decades, there's only been 4 people to win Wimbledon, and
Let's check it out.
Carlos was the first new like winner of these like legacy players. So I thought that was really cool.
Okay. 2023 was Alcaraz. 2022, Novak. He won in 2022, 21. 2020, the event was canceled. 1918. And then before that, you see the reign of Roger Federer. So he won in 17. Andy Murray won in 16. Djokovic also won in 15 and 14. And then also a big name, Rafael Nadal, won in 2010. But yeah, you're right. It's just like very dominant performances by specific people. And the runners-up are all across the board.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so our runners-up this year was Djokovic. 2022 was Nick. I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah.
2021 was Matteo Berrettini, who is so beautiful.
Wait, is he the Italian
Can you
guy?
Google it? Yes, Google a picture. Okay. Just if you watch the Netflix tennis documentary that they've done, it makes you like really into tennis. It's really well done.
He turned pro in 2015. He's Italian, ranked 32. You know, why is tennis such a European sport? I've always
Um,
kind of wondered. I mean, I'm sure it originated probably. Um, and I actually want to talk about Spain's history with tennis in a little bit, but I thought like it's very European dominated.
it's typically an English sport. Yeah, I mean, it says it started in England and France, so probably
Makes
just
sense.
a result of the origin, but also one of the oldest sports in the world.
Mm-hmm. When I was kind of looking into Carlos and like his win and kind of like, how he's been on the come up recently to get to number one in the last couple years, I came upon this NPR article that was
Mm-hmm.
super interesting. And it was about how Spain has this like pipeline of professional tennis players or just like talent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mainly pointing to Carlos and Rafael Nadal. In more recent years, Alvarez and Nadal, but they kind of said how Spain has kind of like this convergence of positive factors for tennis training, being like the climate, the existing infrastructure. Um, Obviously, the game's really entrenched in European culture, especially Spanish culture. So there's a lot of like training resources, and it's led to this like 21st century pipeline of Spanish players. And what I found really interesting was that there was this building boom of tennis courts in the 1970s.
Mm-hmm.
So this article cited that Spain built more than 1,000 tennis clubs um, in the 1970s, and they were all clay courts, which is not typical. Um, and so for the past like 50, 60 years, Spanish tennis players have grown up playing on these clay courts, which is like kind of, I guess, like a harder type of surface to move in. It slows the players down. Um, it's a different pace of play. So it kind of came off as an advantage for training because they're training on like a different surface, slower. So when they actually do get to like, I don't know, maybe they build them out of concrete. I'm not really sure what traditional tennis courts are made of. Um, they're able to like have better endurance, quicker movements. And I thought that was like a really unique history point, given
Mm-hmm.
that like Carlos is from Spain. He probably like has seen a lot of the best trainers there. Um, but like definitely like an entrenched type of history
Yeah,
of tennis there.
absolutely. I know sometimes they play on like a court, that you typically think of what a court is made out of.
Oh,
Um,
like a basketball court that you put in your backyard sort of thing.
yeah, like concrete, but
Yeah. I
not.
don't know what it is. Yeah. I think I know what you mean.
And then Wimbledon is actually played on grass. They they talk about the dominance of different players based on the type of court that they're playing on. But
Mm.
Wimbledon was really grown around this like very royal idea of like this very posh tennis tournament played on grass, as in like tennis in the royal garden kind of concept.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but like there's a dress code and it's very, Princess Kate or Queen, I don't know what she is.
Yeah.
Princess Kate, um, Middleton was there with the kids and like every celebrity known to mankind. So,
I saw LeBron like this.
oh yeah,
The
recording.
videos, yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm really happy to hear Carlos getting that win. I feel like maybe that leads to like the next generation of tennis greatness.
Absolutely. All right. On the flip side, coming back to the United States, um, the Washington Commanders are going
NFL.
through a big turnover right now. So the NFL has approved the sale of the Washington Commanders for $6.05 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the new franchise is going to be led by Josh Harris. Am I right?
That, that's right. Yeah, he's a billionaire himself. Um, he is part owner in an investment, like a global investment firm called Apollo. They have a private equity division. They're a huge asset management firm. So I think he has definitely a track record of investment in general, but he also is heavily invested in the sports industry. So he is majority owner of the Philly 76ers, the NBA team, and then co-owns the New Jersey Devils, which is NHL. And apparently now he's broadening his horizons and going into the NFL with the Commanders. So um, I guess not really a surprise sale. This was kind of in the works for a few months, but there's been concerns with the franchise internally and like how they were going to work things out. Um, One really cool thing is that the new ownership group includes Magic Johnson, who we all know and love, right? And one of a couple of the articles pointed out that this is also a really great reputation for Black ownership of sports teams. I remember, Megan, you mentioned with the Hornets, Michael Jordan's ownership, and you know, it's not something we see typically, unfortunately, and it's something that needs to change. And so I think Magic Johnson really having his foot here is awesome. And also part of the group is one of Josh Harris's another billionaire friend, Mitch Rales, and they've known each other forever. So I guess they were kind of just in on the deal.
This comes on the back of quite a bit of controversy with the previous owner, right?
Right. Do you know about Dan Snyder?
Not a ton. Obviously, the name is familiar, but
yeah.
Sometimes when you read articles like this, it's like so unshocking. You just kind of go right by it.
It's not surprising. This has actually been something that the Commanders have been dealing with before they were renamed and rebranded. So it's been several years now. Dan Snyder has been accused and actually convicted of sexual harassment in the workplace, among a lot of financial issues. So like you said, Megan, on the back of this huge sale, there's been an NFL fine for Dan Snyder's misconduct for $60 million, I believe. Dan and his wife have owned the Commanders since 1999, and they purchased it at somewhere around like 700 million, but have not been very successful. Originally the Redskins and now the Commanders only made it to the playoffs 6 times in the 24 seasons of ownership. So didn't have a lot of success. I guess the high value of sale is driven by what Josh Harris might be able to do with it. But now Dan Snyder is out $60 million because of his stupid decisions. The investigation on him was led by the SEC originally for like the financial misconduct, but there's been a lot of sexual harassment claims against him. And I was actually listening to a recent video on it, and the woman who brought it forward and is getting the case completed is, I guess they were in like some sort of club party at the field, and Dan had like come on to her and like put his hand on her leg during this like event or whatever it was, like really just inappropriate. And then they were seen, like she was trying to like walk to her car in the parking lot, and like he was seen like kind of following her and like pressing her and whatever. Like I think it was just like a really inappropriate situation. And I don't think this is the first time that's happened. So hopefully the Commanders can get turned around quickly with a better culture. I know that the market, like the DMV market, Maryland, Delaware, DC, whatever, is strong. And I don't know. I'd like to see them come out of it. I'm glad Dan Snyder's out, though. And also, I don't know what Dan Snyder's wife thinks, but what a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. Staying on the NFL side of things, I ended up finishing this week Quarterback on Netflix. So it's produced by Peyton Manning, and it follows Kirk Cousins of the Vikings, Marcus Mariota, formerly the quarterback of Atlanta. And then Patrick Mahomes, obviously of the Chiefs. And they kind of sequentially do each episode in like a timeline. So from the beginning of the season to Patrick Mahomes winning the 2022
Super Bowl?
2023 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it got renewed for a second season. So I don't know if we'll see the same quarterbacks or we'll see new stories, but every time they do, Netflix does a story like this, like behind the scenes of the sports industry, it just makes
Mm-hmm.
it so much more interesting to then go watch the games and to like
Mm-hmm.
know what's happening on the field or like the drama behind it.
Yeah.
Just makes it so much better. So, I mean, they have quarterback, they have the one on tennis, they have the one on golf, obviously Drive to Survive for Formula One, they have one on the Tour de France.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so if you guys are up for watching them, highly recommend them all.
I clicked on the quarterback one and I was like looking through the episodes, and at first I was confused because I was like, are they going consequentially through the quarterbacks? Do they jump around each episode between them? Like how is it done? Is it like one quarterback per episode or
No, they jump around. So it's like in time, like basically in a timeline from like beginning to end of season. And then it's like each quarterback. So they kind of introduce them. They talk about like expectations of the seasons, how these players got there. Their wives are in it. So how they met their wives, kind of their family dynamics, their personalities. Kirk Cousins is so funny.
yeah.
Um, and then Marcus Mariota, obviously during the season, got removed from being a quarterback and
Mm,
he left the team to get surgery and is now the backup quarterback this season for.
he was on the Titans, right?
No. So last season, in 2015, he was on the Tennessee Titans. In 2020, he was on the Las Vegas Raiders. In
Mm.
2022, he was on the Atlanta Falcons, which this season follows him as a
Ah,
part of the Falcons. And now he's the second quarterback to the Eagles.
mm, got it. Behind Alabama.
Jalen Hurts.
Mm.
So he leaves, and then Kirk Cousins, it continues to follow Kirk in his story, kind of side by side with Patrick Mahomes until the Vikings lose. And then the rest of the season is just about Patrick Mahomes. His wife, he's the birth of his second kid during the season.
Mhm.
He has his ankle injury during this documentary series. Um, he plays Joe Burrow, um, obviously towards the end. So they talk about like the rivalry between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes, and
Yeah.
their respect for each other too as quarterbacks, and ends with the Chiefs Super Bowl win. So
Yeah, that's definitely one that I want to check out. And I want to watch the golf one. I've started the golf one 3 times now, and I just haven't. I either get distracted or I just haven't gone through with it. So I want to watch the golf one too.
the golf one
Um,
is really good.
that's
A
what I've
little
heard.
dated, I guess,
Now,
now. I know the tennis one had like a first part of the season, then the second part of the season that came out. So technically there's only one season out, but it's
mm,
split into two. So I haven't watched the second half of it, which is on my list of things to do. But it really like you get to know a bunch of different players. And then when you see them actually go out there and like play and you know their history and like
yeah.
the drama and who their coach is and all that stuff. It just makes watching them play their matches like way more interesting.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. By the way, I noticed when you were using your hands, I love your nails.
Oh,
Good color. Are those press on or you did yourself?
I did the dip myself. This fingernail fell off 2 weeks ago and they have grown out so much. Like, I don't know if you see this, but like all of them are
Yeah.
coming off, and
Yeah.
like my hair keeps getting stuck in them. So
Oh,
after this, I'm gonna eat lunch and then redo them.
I like the color though.
I feel like it's a very like mature color.
It
Like
is
it's
a
like a
mature
mom
color.
color.
It's like a no, it's like a professional woman color, not a mom color.
No, I call it my mom color.
My mom, funny enough, my mom when I was younger, she said like getting red nails is only for like grown-up women. So,
Really?
yeah. I would never was really allowed to get red nails. Isn't that funny?
I did it right before the 4th of July.
That
So
makes
that's how
sense.
long they've
That's
been
fitting.
on.
Wow. That's
And those are
impressive.
my real nails. That's how long they are.
A little nail tech, Megan. Go to Megan for your nail needs. Okay. So turning here to something that's been really exciting is the FIFA Women's World Cup. I know we don't talk about soccer too much, but
We have waited so long for this.
truly.
The excitement around the Women's World Cup this year is kind of unmatched. Um, so I'll give a little recap of what's happened so far, kind of how the tournament's working.
Hmm.
But the United States women's national team is obviously one of the most dominant women's soccer teams, football teams in the world.
Hmm.
So they are looking to win another World Cup championship. They are the current title holders. They won in 2019.
Hmm.
On Friday night, I did get to tune into this game.
Yay!
A little distracted by the monsoon that absolutely swept through Tucson right when this game started. But they won 3-0 over Vietnam,
Hmm.
which good win. Um, really bizarre kind of lineups, trying to figure out who the best players are, who's working well together. There's a ton of new rookies. Um, the age range is like 18 to 38. It's Megan
Wow.
Rapinoe's last World Cup.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everyone is really excited to see her play. Um, we had a number of opportunities to score. We only made 3 of those goals. Alex Morgan didn't make a penalty kick. It was blocked by Vietnam. So everyone came in thinking we were going to win like 13-0 like we have in the past, and we didn't, which was kind of bizarre, but
Hmm.
it averaged 5.2 million viewers throughout the night, which is the
Wow.
second most viewed group stage game in the Women's World Cup. And I'll explain what the group
Wow.
stage is in a minute, but it is the second most viewed game at this stage, second to an old USA women's national team game. So people are tuning in. One of the
That's
biggest
great.
standouts this year is Sophia Smith. I believe she's 22 years old. Um, and she scored 2 of our 3 goals in her World Cup debut.
Wow. Wow.
So she absolutely crushed it.
Yeah.
She is an amazing player. But this year, the tournament is taking place in Australia and New Zealand. So they're co-hosting the tournament. So um, the FIFA, I don't know what you call it, like federation,
Yeah.
um, increased the number of teams. So we started last World Cup at 24 teams, which was, the most teams they had seen at that point. This year it's 32. So the newest countries this year are the Philippines, Ireland, Zambia. Did I pronounce that right?
Zambia, yeah.
Haiti, Vietnam, Portugal, Panama, and Morocco.
Those are all new?
All new.
Wow.
And none of those teams that have played so far have won, but they have come out and made an impact against the teams that they're playing. So I forget who it was, but they came out and played England, a really dominant team, kind of held them down to a
Hmm.
low scoring match. And obviously, Vietnam came out against us
Wow.
and really just I think we had control of the ball. I think the statistic was 66% of the time. So they didn't
Wow.
control possession of the ball quite often, but we had like 7 chances for a goal or something, and we made 3 of them. So they really did a great job. How it works is all the teams come in into a group stage, and it's 8 groups
Okay.
of 4 teams, and each team plays everyone in their pool.
Got
So
it.
the
Got
US
it.
will have 3 matches against the other 3 teams in our pool.
Mm-hmm.
And then the top 2 seeds from those matches move on to the round of 16, which will begin the knockout phase.
Got it.
So you are allowed to tie in group stage. They don't do PKs or anything like extra time for a draw. It just gets factored into where you rank
Okay.
at the end of your group stage play. And then once you reach the round of 16, it is head-to-head knockouts. So
Okay.
this will be going on for a while, but I highly recommend everyone tune in. Go check out the roster. There's like the most incredible female athletes you've ever heard of in your life on this women's national team. Really exciting.
How do you get rankings out of the group stage? Is it like based on goals? Is it like a point system?
It
You know?
starts by like win loss, then it moves to how much you won or lost by.
Okay.
And then if you keep like if teams are still matched up at that point, it goes down to like I forget exactly what it is, but like they move, there's like a ranking of statistics that you move on by depending on what they are.
So it's not just like bilateral. There's like a whole thing that goes into it to get to
Yeah.
this 16. So then is the 16 round like a 1 versus a 16 and then a 2 versus a 15 sort of deal? Or is it?
It's not necessarily ranked, I don't think. You do have to qualify for the FIFA World Cup and tournaments coming into it. So I think you do have like technically a ranking coming in, but the matches are preset. So like before the tournament starts, they say like winner of group A will play winner of group F.
Got it.
And
Got
then,
it. Okay.
like whoever's like 1 or 2, like the US could come out number 2
Yeah.
and they'd play someone different than if they came out like number 1.
Got it.
But it's all like determined beforehand.
Okay, that makes sense. Speaking of soccer in the US, we all know that Messi has gone to Inter Miami to play in his older days of professional soccer. But, and this is something I was actually talking to someone about recently. It's funny because the best players abroad, once they start to like reach their like maturity in their sport, for soccer especially, they come to the US. And the level of play in the US is like comparable to like they're still the best player in their like older days in the US than they were still killing it abroad. Like Messi was in Barcelona. But they're like taking it easy stage is coming to the US to play. I just think it's really funny. But he ended up winning the game for Inter Miami off a penalty kick in the last 3 additional minutes, which I saw was insane.
And a star-studded game.
Right? He gave, and I'm sure you know this, he gave a signed jersey to Kim Kardashian's son.
Yeah, who is a huge soccer fan.
That's
he was
so
like freaking
cute.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cute. But I'm sure that's not the last time we'll be seeing Messi carry Inter Miami. So I actually have one of the girls I played volleyball with at UCLA is dating the goalkeeper for Inter Miami. So she was like at the game, and like her boyfriend, Kyra, I'm forgetting her last name.
Wait, I want to look this up.
Yeah.
Do you follow her?
Yeah. She was a middle at UCLA.
Kyra.
Yeah. I think they're engaged actually. So her fiance.
Kyra Wyman, Kyra Aaliyah.
Yeah, that one.
Ooh, she's a lot of followers.
I think she's a full-time influencer.
Oh,
I know.
they're engaged.
Yeah. They've been dating since high school.
Oh.
Yeah, it's cute. Super cute.
Wait, is she a model? She should be a model.
She should be a model. She does model. I think she models for a swimsuit brand.
Wait, that's crazy.
I know.
9 years with my best friend.
Yeah. A decade.
That's
Okay.
crazy.
I think that about wraps up our recap slash dialogue about recent big events. But we have a fun little Q&A session. I love doing these. Megan, what kind of questions we have today?
All right, in honor of the Barbie movie coming out, if you had to pick a perfect Ken who's a professional athlete, who would you pick?
If I'm just going off of like blonde, blue eyes type person, I would either say Myers Leonard, who's in the NBA. He's like tall, blonde, blue eyes. Um, he kind of looks like a doll.
Fair enough.
Right, right. I was trying to think of NFL because I know we talked about this earlier. Uh, Joe Burrow? I'm sure that's the answer
Joe
that
Burrow
everyone
should
has.
become a Barbie doll. You know how they make Barbie dolls out of celebrities?
Yeah.
Like a football Barbie doll?
NFL rookie Barbie doll? Yeah, no, I could see it. I could see it. And everyone loves him. He would be quite the Ken.
Okay. This was inspired by football season coming up. But what sport or big sporting event, anything to do with sports, are you most excited for coming up in the future?
Honestly, I think you know my answer. I feel like you do. I feel like it's the same answer that you have. College football.
Yeah.
Is that your
Well,
answer?
I shall continue my dilemma of now that I am currently enrolled as a student at the University of Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm not excited for U of A football. No. I'm excited for U of A basketball, as always.
Yeah.
If you go to a school, I feel like I have to root for that school, even though UCLA football will be better.
Yeah.
Just by definition. So I'm excited for the tailgates. I'm excited to go to the games, but I don't think it's going to be like a very exciting season. On the NFL side, I've never really cared too much about the NFL. Obviously, as a former neuroscience major, I have a little issue with people banging their heads around and everything that comes with that. So football's never been my favorite sport, but watching this like quarterback documentary has made me more excited for the upcoming season.
Good. Yeah. The NFL, I feel like it goes college football I'm most excited about, then probably NFL once they like really get into it. My brother is playing his first college football season, so I'm really excited for that. Go Fresno State Bulldogs. I don't know like how the lineups are gonna end up. He's a freshman, so hopefully he gets to travel and I get to like see him at some point out there dressed on the field. But
is your family gonna get like matching t-shirts that say Jacobs on the back?
They should. I know that they have all the Fresno State gear already, of course.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh.
They're like, oh, our dogs have a collar that says Fresno State Bulldogs. I know. It's so cute.
Did
I'm so
the
excited for him.
did the Michigan collar get taken off and the Fresno State get put on,
I
or?
think it did. No, I see you remember. I think they switched it out, which is fair. Jack is, in his prime now, but yeah, that's probably another reason I'm biased towards college football.
Well, send me a
Uh,
t-shirt when you guys make them and I'll
I
wear it.
will. I will. So, last question here, Megan. What is your worst experience at a sporting event?
Um, one definitely comes to mind. If you guys know me, you know what it is, but I don't feel like I should say it on here. I feel like I'm gonna get in trouble if I do that. My worst experience at a sporting event. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had like a bad time going to a professional game or collegiate game.
Has there ever been a bad tailgate? Maybe?
No, because I didn't really drink in college. And then
Yeah.
sophomore, junior, senior year, I worked for the football team, so I didn't go to tailgates.
Hmm. That's good then.
Sometimes the student body at UCLA was annoying.
Oh,
Um,
I know.
Loading them onto buses, that was probably the worst job.
That's terrible. You had that job? Oh, God.
Oh yeah. So for anyone who doesn't know, the Rose Bowl is nowhere near UCLA, and with LA traffic, it takes about 2 hours by bus to get there. So the
Hmm.
school charters buses that leave from like the dorm village, and
Hmm.
as part of my job, if you weren't working the game, like if I needed to stay home and study, I would work the buses for like a couple hours and then go
Mm.
home rather than go to the game. So, um, it was fine, except for like certain people would come up and like couples would come up and like, I have to sit next to them.
Yeah.
Like, I have to
Yeah.
sit next to my partner. Like, no, you don't.
Relax. Everyone's drunk anyway. You'll survive.
We had to confiscate a lot of things as well. Obviously,
Mm.
um, they can't be underage drinking on a bus to the Rose Bowl, but
Right.
I don't really remember anyone being that like belligerent or like that rude.
That's
Um,
good.
if anything, we were the rude ones because we didn't want to be there. But
I feel like you only make the mistake once of drinking before you get on that bus, drinking too much, taking the hot, sweaty, disgusting chartered bus to the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, and then getting to the tailgate and being absolutely just like exhausted, and then tailgating another 3 hours, not even going into the game. Like, you only make that
no,
mistake once. Yeah. Yeah, that's a
I
tough one.
never made that mistake. We're
Good.
smart.
Waste of time.
Instead, I just got paid to go to the games, which
There you go.
win-win.
Yeah,
Except then I
absolutely.
did have to go to every game in my khaki pants.
I'm sure you rocked it. Styling. I bet you looked good.
Killer.
Yeah. Um, okay, so this
Did you have
upcoming week. Sorry, go
Wait,
ahead.
did you have a worst experience at a sporting event?
Oh, um, no. I think mine would probably be sometime in college. A long day tailgating or like a hot day or whatever. But I'm trying to think. There's nothing like tragic that ever happened to me that I was like, oh, psych. This isn't a worst experience. This isn't a worst experience because it was an amazing experience, but it was like actually terrible in one aspect. So the Michigan Ohio State game at the Big House last year. Um, sorry, not last year.
We've been graduating
2021.
for 2 years.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was 2021. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's when I was at Michigan getting my master's. It was the first football game that was like snowing, like it was cold, and I got a really good seat in the student section next to a couple of my friends, and it was an amazing game. Like Michigan won, whatever. but my toes froze. Like, I couldn't feel my toes. And so when I tried to like, or even my ankles, like all of my feet I had like Timberland boots on, even with like 2 pairs of socks, like frozen cold. And so when Michigan won, everyone started behind me because I was like pretty close to the end, like goalpost. Everyone behind me started barreling down the bleacher stairs, and like the kids were like jumping over the wall, which is by the way like 8 feet tall, to get onto the field. And so I'm like 5 rows back, so I'm like, I can't feel my feet. Someone's gonna trample me. Like, I'm going to be trampled. It was actually really scary. So I'm doing my best to like literally like pull my legs over these bleachers to like get to the wall. And when you get to the wall, you don't have time to think about jumping off because people are like pushing you from the back. It was really scary. And I couldn't feel my feet, so I'm like, I'm gonna break my ankle when I land. Jumping 8 feet. And what I ended up doing, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna like try to like protect myself. So I jumped and I like kind of like pulled myself over the wall, pushed off the wall with my feet to go a little bit forward. And I landed like front on my toes like this. And I just went straight to my knees because I was like, I am not dealing with this. So I basically like fell off the wall and then like just had to like keep running onto the field. It was really scary. It was like not safe. But that's probably best and worst experience.
That's funny.
Yeah. I survived. My feet were intact.
I've never rushed a field or anything.
I was surprised that I guess they couldn't stop it.
Yeah,
Everyone
you
just
kind of
kept
have
going.
to go or get hurt.
Yeah, it was scary. Okay, so what do we have this upcoming week, Megan?
So as we said before, the U.S. women's national team is playing in the Women's World Cup. So we play the Netherlands Wednesday night. Because these games are in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia and New Zealand, the times are kind of funky. So a lot of the games happen during our nighttime and their morning, I believe. But also some of them happen in the middle of the night. So like at 2:00 in the morning. So record them, or I'm sure in the United States they'll get played over at a normal time, but just keep an eye out for those games. Follow on social media, and get to know the players as well. And like you asked at the beginning, Formula One is back for another GP in Belgium. So we'll probably see Red Bull's 13th consecutive win.
Let's go. And then like obviously we were both excited for college football is coming up. And eventually MLB will get to the postseason. So we'll be talking about that as well. That's all we have for today. Thanks for listening here on episode 9. Like always, feel free to follow us on socials, on wherever you get your podcasts, subscribe to us on YouTube. We really appreciate the support. And our next episode will be our 10th episode, which I think is a really cool milestone. Hopefully we have a few more things in the works. We kind of want to start interviewing people, so please, stay as involved as you can. And for all those people who have supported us, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, y'all.